Welcome back. Here in Texas, the battle between Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke rages on. Wednesday, the incumbent Republican broke free of the Kavanaugh confirmation chaos to campaign alongside the president's son, Donald Trump Jr. It was a very public demonstration that the bitterness from the ugly 2016 Republican primary fight has been buried.
That took guts. There's a better word for it. We'll say guts. There's a couple kids in the room, okay? That took guts. And from that point forward, I've seen him fighting hand in hand for the policies that are winning, that are making America great again.
Cruz also believes the conduct of Democratic senators in the Kavanaugh affair may have actually boosted his bid for re-election.
A lot of moms of sons who are worried about if the standard the Democrats are pushing is that an allegation with no corroborating evidence at all can destroy a person's career, future, life, family, reputation, can drag them through the mud with no evidence, no corroborating evidence. That's a standard that I know a lot of parents that don't want to see their kids subject to just the anger of the mob.
Tomaro Bell, what's your point?
He's talking about moms benefiting. What about the moms who are still hurt from their philandering husbands who got caught messing around with them after they have given them 5 kids? Bringing Don Jr. with you ain't helping you none here in Texas.
Bob Price, does Cruz get a Trump bump with the president coming to campaign with him, with Donald Jr. down here?
Let me tell you something. I've been approached this week by people who are not political, who have come up to me and said, get me a Ted Cruz sign out in front of my office building because I am so pissed off about this Kavanaugh thing that I want to show support for Ted Cruz. That's happening in multiple places around. People, I hope Republicans in Texas listen to what Nyanza said in the last segment. That is exactly what's going to happen. If Nancy Pelosi takes over, they're going to try to impeach Donald Trump. They're going to try to impeach Justice Kavanaugh. Where's the high crimes and misdemeanor in the Justice Kavanaugh thing?
I didn't say Trump, I said Kavanaugh.
That's what we do.
Impeach Kavanaugh, not Trump.
Okay, I'm going to ask Bill King. Do you think Ted Cruz gets a Trump bump? Do you think there's a backlash of white moms, angry about how Kavanaugh was treated?
Well, like I said earlier, I think the Democrats did overplay their hand in the polling. The generic polls closed last week. The Senate races moved towards the Republicans last week. I don't think there's any question that's what we're seeing in the polls. But these things change very rapidly. I think the people they're calling asking for Ted signs, I'm sure that's going on, but those are people that are already going to vote for him. The question is what happens in the middle part of the spectrum. And I get back to this race, what I find compelling is that Abbott is going to beat his opponent by 20+ points. I just have a hard time seeing him not carrying the rest of the statewide Republicans over the lines. I think they've got some weak spots in this lineup, but I just can't imagine Abbott winning by 20+ points and then Cruz losing.
That's interesting. Dan Patrick showed up. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick showed up for this rally, short speech, but he really hadn't been out there campaigning because I think, he doesn't feel like he has to. Go ahead, Jess.
James Carville famously said, one of Bill Clinton's consultants famously said, it's the economy. And I believe this economy is roaring, and that is going to last all the way through the November elections. Furthermore, it's not going to be lost on people. The Democrats are not going away. Here we're talking about impeaching Kavanaugh. People don't want to talk about it anymore, but the Democrats can't help themselves. They're going to keep it alive, and it's going to continue to unify the Republican base and motivate the Republican base. Thanks to the Democrats' vitriolic work over the last 3 weeks, we have seen the enthusiasm gap go from, come up 12 points from Republicans. It's dead even now. Republicans are just as enthusiastic to go out and vote this November as Democrats are. And you know what? They're going to go out and vote because they don't want due process overthrown in America. That is the basis of our justice system, innocent until proven guilty. And when you lose that, and when you threaten that, the fact that a family's economy could be completely overturned with baseless accusations, this is what is going to drive the silent majority to electing more Republicans this cycle.
I'm going to switch gears now. Meantime, Democratic challenger Beto O'Rourke made headlines by stating he neither wants nor needs the endorsement of the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I'm going to talk about what she just said first.
Bring it.
No.
Let's go.
Well, when she just said that you know, nobody wants to impeach President Trump. He's going to do that on his own by resigning when they find out that he's a felon. So let's talk about when you have Brett Kavanaugh, and you're saying all the women are everybody's so fired up and the Republicans are coming out and fired up. But if you just said that they came up 12 points to be even with Democrats, what it says is this: Democratic women, we're always going to vote the same. When you play to your base already supports you. Nobody knew as for signs in their yards, Bob. Those were the same Republicans that were going to vote anyway. But if Beto does not want Barack Obama's endorsement, it's because he does not understand the politics of America. He obviously thinks that somebody calling him Beto gives him the Latino, but if you're O'Rourke on your last name, you might need to be called the new Obama, because you can't win without the black vote, Beto. Don't forget who you need to vote for you.
Okay, Tony. Why does Beto not need Barack Obama's official endorsement?
Well, first I want to remind folks watching that Tuesday, October 9th, is the last day to register to vote. So if you want to vote in November, that's the last day you can register to vote. And I think basically Beto knows that your Trump supporters in Texas hate President Obama. They hate everything he stood for. They hate anyone like him. And the Republicans, what they do in Texas is they seem to think that people from California are running. All you hear is the Republican colleagues on the stage bring up the names of folks who are liberals in California, funders that I've never heard of. I've never heard of these folks. So really, at the end of the day, Beto wants to avoid all these Trump fanatics who hate anything.
The Trump crazies.
They're Trump crazies. On top of it, he wants to put Texas first. Unlike Ted Cruz, who was born in Canada to begin with, and on top of it, Lion Ted wants to get the Hispanic vote, but he's not Hispanic. I've never heard him say he's proud to be Hispanic.
Okay, tomorrow.
Listen, okay, I believe that Beto does not want to get Obama's endorsement because for one reason only. He is trying to get more of those middle people, the middle liners, the people like him, the moderates. And the moderates, some of them did not care for Obama. So he's trying to protect. He has gotten people in who I never would have expected to endorse. They were like, God, he really is this. He sounds good. He does sound like this. So I believe he doesn't want to hurt where he is, and that's why he declined. It was not a personal thing or I hate him. He was like, I got to protect what I got. You already been in office and out. I'm trying to get in.
Okay, Bob, and then save a little time for Mr. Kemah.
So to Nyanza's point, Robert Francis O'Rourke is using his childhood nickname, which implied to everybody that he's Hispanic, that to try to stir up that vote, and now he's throwing the black vote under the bus for political expediency, and I think that's going to come back to hurt him.
I think it will too.
I don't know if it's actually thrown. You know, he still has the NFL protest issue. Drew a lot of support.
But those NFLers voted for Obama.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, O'Rourke.
First of all, I think the importance of endorsement is greatly exaggerated. Most people don't, when they're trying to decide a race, they don't really care what some other politicians think they ought to vote for. You recall in my race, Obama endorsed Turner in the last couple of days, and it didn't move the needle.
And Turner won.
But it didn't move the needle.
So something happened. The black people swore to Turner.
It didn't move the needle at all. The polling didn't change at all. I just don't think most people go look to some politician to tell them how to vote on something.
Real quick, Tony, do you think the Kavanaugh business helps Beto O'Rourke just with turnout?
No, definitely. I think it's going to get more people to not just vote, but get people to register to vote and drive people to the polls. I think the Democratic base is really riled up. And
Greg, you know,
real quick, go ahead.
2 seconds. You know, I don't think Beto wants his endorsement. The fact that Obama endorsed the socialist in New York just shows how far left Beto is, and the president doesn't want to endorse Beto because he's so far left of where he needs to be. So the bottom line here is that, you know, Beto is not being truthful with the voters about his policies and who he is. He's for open borders. He is for, you know, Medicare. He wants to charge the taxpayers trillions of dollars. Beto O'Rourke is misleading the Texas
But Greg, there's no such thing as open borders.
We'll talk about it again soon.
It's a stereotype.
Still ahead, our panel answers the question, what did we miss? So stay with us.